What's up, Net Soldiers on the lines? Welcome back to another Friday Fun Day. Today we have What Does Star Wars Episode 8 Need? Now, this is a video that I created back in 2016, about a year and a half before The Last Jedi actually came out. We didn't know the title at the time. We didn't know anything about it. Pretty much Rogue One was almost coming out, and we barely knew anything about The Last Jedi. So, with this is pretty exciting for me. Because first of all, I want to see what my hopes for The Last Jedi were before The Last Jedi actually came out, especially like a whole year ahead when I knew nothing about it. It was a completely clean slate, and it's interesting because I really want to check it out. I want to see what my opinions are. The thing about it is, though, this is an older video of mine, and every time I go back and watch a video of mine from a year ago or 2 years ago, I feel so cringe. Do you know, like, it's cringy to watch because I sound weird. You know, I just don't like that. You know, I just think I sound odd. I think everyone says that, but it's true. It's weird. Now, with all that said, please remember to like, subscribe, and turn notifications for more Star Wars content. And I guess, let's do this. Let's see how I was. Let's go. Oh, wow, wow. That was my Net Soldiers. That was my intro from 2016, so that kind of brought back memories. So let's go.
And today we're going to be doing the top 5 things I want to see in Star Wars Episode 8. Now, Star Wars Episode 7 at the time of this recording has come out 9 months ago, so that's fairly enough time to process what we've seen and truly come out with something that I want to see for Episode 8. Now, with all my videos, these are just my opinions, so if you have your own opinions, please let me know in the comments below. I'm starting at number 5. I want to see Rey and Finn have a possible relationship. So now we've kind of seen this in Episode 7. We saw some type of spark between the two. Now I understand that Rey is a Force-sensitive person, and what I can assume is that Luke is going to be training her to be more like a Jedi. But one of the coolest things about Luke's type of Jedi compared to the Jedi we've seen in the prequels, I guess we can call them Yoda's Jedi because he was the headmaster, kind of. So we'll say Yoda's Jedi and Luke's Jedi. Where Yoda's Jedi, I always felt, personally, they kind of pushed their emotions away. They kind of just pretended the dark side wasn't there, kind of. You know what I mean? Like, it was there. They knew it was there, but they kind of just like, just stay good, focus on the light, you'll be okay. Where I felt the reason why Luke became so powerful was because instead of just pushing the dark side away, he realized it was there and he controlled it. It's kind of something like that. It wasn't that he let it control him. So I kind of said that in some of my other videos. I honestly think that is true, and that's what I like to see in Episode 8 more. Now I'm kind of diving more towards the actual like Legends type Luke Skywalker, but Luke Skywalker's Academy, the Jedi Academy that he created after the one that fell in Episode 3, they were taught to control their emotions, like I said, and so they could actually have the relationships compared to the older ones. Now I understand the Jedi we see, they're not supposed to do that type of stuff. They're supposed to have attachments. That type of stuff leads to the dark side, and that's what we were taught to think. But if you can control those emotions and kind of keep them tempered down, you can still have them, but keep them controlled, then you still kind of know how to control them to a point, and it's not like you don't know how to control them at all. So when you do flare up with emotions, like we've seen with Anakin Skywalker, never really knew how to control his emotions, they kind of get out of hand and a lot of people die. So it would actually make sense for Rey and Finn to have a possible romance going on in the future. And I like the idea of them being together. They're cool characters. They're both kind of the new main characters of the story, so why can't they be together? And I understand some people would rather see Rey and Poe together, but if you actually look at like the story and overall, it just makes more sense to me that Finn and Rey are more like reluctant heroes that kind of get thrown together and then eventually a relationship forms out of that. Plus, Rey's supposed to be like 20 and Poe's like 32 or something like that. So yeah, there's a little bonus fact you might have not known about that. Also, Kylo is 32. Did you know that? Kylo's like 32 to 35 or something like that. He's in between there. It's insane. But I'm getting off topic again. I think Star Wars is definitely missing like a true romance again. Something on the level of Leia and Han Solo. That's what we kind of need. And now that Solo's gone and we don't really have any romance, I could see this possibly being a thing. But let me know in the comments below. Do you want to see this happen? Do you want to see Rey and Finn kind of get together? I think they're the perfect match for a future romance. But I like that Rey is a badass and she can do her own things. I don't want to see that happen because she's dating Finn. You know what I mean? How that happens to a lot of characters. So I don't want to see that happen. So I want to see Rey and Finn together. What about you? Let me know. Comments below. On to number 4.
Okay, so yeah, I was definitely wrong with that need. Rey and Finn barely even talked the entire film. They didn't even see each other till the very end. So that definitely was something that that definitely didn't happen with it. I know I made a incorrect statement of saying Kylo was like 32. He was actually 29, I think, in The Force Awakens and The Last Jedi. So there you go. That's not that big of a deal. And yeah, so pretty much this whole entire thing was me explaining how Rey was so powerful, or how Luke was so powerful compared to the Jedi before him, was because he learned how to control his emotions. And even to that point, I don't know how right that is, because technically in The Last Jedi, it didn't seem like Luke really did know how to control his emotions. It seems like he went into exile because he didn't know how to control them. And I don't know, that was interesting. I would say that definitely that didn't happen. Yeah. I guess between especially Rey and Finn, that definitely didn't happen. There was no real connection between them. If anything, there was just kind of like a little friendly, hey, my friend, hey, But when it comes down to it, Finn and Rose were definitely the two who kind of had a relationship, kind of. I don't know. It's odd, but there you go. So let's go to the next one. Let's see what my next one is.
Speaking of Rey, I want to see more history of hers. We haven't really seen anything from her past. The only thing we've ever seen is her flashbacks and the one part where she's like, yeah, she's like yelling at like the spaceship as it's taking off, but someone's there holding her arm. Who is that person? I'm gonna guess that's probably her guardian who eventually died, and then that's why she's on her own in episode 7. Now, my personal feelings on this is I think that Rey had some type of training when she was younger in both the Force and lightsaber skills, so that's why she's as powerful as she is, and I feel that she repressed that memory. Perhaps something traumatic happened, maybe even after that part we saw on the cutscene, maybe that was the thing that made her like forget everything she learned when she was younger. Like for instance, maybe someone was teaching her to use the Force. Maybe someone was teaching her to use a lightsaber. And that's why she was able to kick Kylo's butt in the very end of episode 7, because she kind of toned in and she remembered that power she had from when she was younger, and she just kind of let it go. I think that would be an interesting idea. And I know we'll definitely get Rey's history explored, but I definitely don't want to wait till episode 9. I think episode 8 is probably the perfect spot to put it on, so episode 9 can kind of conclude that trilogy. So with episode 8, let's see more of Rey's history.
Nope, we didn't get any of Rey's history. You could say Kylo revealing that her parents were drunks is technically Rey's history, but it really isn't. We didn't get much on Rey at all. For Rey being our main character, we don't know anything really about her backstory, besides the fact that her parents are drunks. And even then, I think that's not even 100% true either. So, episode 8 definitely dropped the ball in terms of expanding Rey as a character. But hey, they did the same thing to Snoke. So, there you go. Yeah, I definitely would have liked that more. And I even said, I'd rather see it in episode 8 and not episode 9. Well, guess what? I'm probably going to see it now in episode 9. There you go.
Number 3, I have make the lightsabers better. Now, I understand for some of the original trilogy lovers, they don't like the whole dancing aspect of the prequels, and I'll get to that. But I grew up with that type of fighting skill, and when you go from kind of just swinging a sword around like a normal warrior would do, to kind of being so skilled and so powerful with the Force and lightsabers that you're doing a dance in a sense, you can't go back to just swinging a sword back and forth. It just doesn't look as good. Because in my personal opinion, yes, I understand the whole idea with Darth Vader and Luke when they were fighting in the original trilogy. They didn't look like they were super skilled with a lightsaber. They literally looked like two fighters just swinging their swords back and forth at each other, just kind of like a knight would be. There was no elegance to it. Where in the prequels, we were given this elegance to the lightsaber fight. Now, sure, they looked choreographed and super planned, but I always liked the idea of the Jedi and the Sith when they're battling. They're both mentally using their Force abilities as well as physically using their lightsaber. And one of the things the prequels kind of told us about was using the lightsaber and using the Force are two separate things, which didn't really make sense when Rey got the ability to use a lightsaber out of nowhere, because although she's super powerful in the Force and doesn't really know how to use that yet, doesn't mean she knows how to use a lightsaber. And that kind of adds on to the idea that she has repressed memories of when she actually did learn how to use lightsabers, so that would make sense. But I like the prequel stuff because, like I said, it's kind of like when a Jedi and Sith are fighting, they're battling with the Force and the lightsaber at the exact same time, so they're constantly countering, they're constantly going for attacks, they're blocking, they're going for another attack, block, attack, thinking of the surroundings. It's kind of like the Force is battling itself. It's almost like the Jedi is the light side of the Force and the Sith is the dark side of the Force, and the Force is all-knowing, right? So the Force is constantly battling itself, and that's why the fights look like they're dancing, and that makes sense to me. A fight between a Sith and a Jedi should be like a dance, only they're trying to kill each other. And like I said, the arts of saber fighting has an elegance to it. There's a sense of class involved. Now, there are people who've told me the exact same thing. I did grow up with the prequels. I didn't grow up with the originals. The prequels were kind of my movies. So I always went more towards the flashy, shiny stuff. But if you think about the overall story with the Jedi and Sith, it makes sense. So I'm okay with it. But what type of lightsaber fights do you guys want to see? Let me know in the comments below. Would you prefer more of the original type stuff, or do you like more of the prequel stuff?
Okay, so The Last Jedi didn't really have a true lightsaber fight. The closest thing you could say would technically be Luke versus Kylo in the end, but that wasn't actually like a real fight, so I consider it more the Praetorian Guard scene. And so in that scene, we see Kylo and Rey team up to pretty much take down the Praetorian Guards. The thing about it is although it's cool to see them fighting and stuff, it's still very clunky fighting. You know, even Kylo, although it's cool to see Kylo actually doing like good stuff, you see that he is skilled. You know, so there is actual skill to him, which is good. They improved that, but it's still very clunky and slow. Like, is it powerful swings? Yes, but it's not like elegant like Anakin's fighting would be. You know, and that might just be because the time that they were living in, it's different. You know, when you're born as pretty much a Jedi almost, and you're raised as a Jedi, you learn that lightsaber skill. You become more technical with it. But I definitely think that this, I still 100% agree with myself here. I think that lightsaber fighting and the Force are two separate things, but you can use each other. You can use both of those to complement and make like a perfect fighting style. And I think that would just improve the next film, especially Episode 9. Episode 8, like I said, we didn't have an actual true lightsaber fight. We didn't see a true Force wielder go face to face with another Force wielder. And unfortunately, so hopefully we get that in Episode 9, and I'm pretty sure we're going to. I think Rey's going to get a double-bladed staff, and that's going to be cool to see a blue double-bladed staff take on Kylo Ren's blade. I don't know. I think that's cool to me. But, yeah. I'm excited for it. And I hope that they don't have to go pure prequels where it looks completely choreographed, but I don't want them to go all original where it's just guys swinging their blades and not really being choreographed at all. You know? So, let's see it. Give it to me, Disney. Give it to me.
At number 2 on our list, we better see Luke in action. I want to see Luke going with a lightsaber. I want to see him battling, maybe even Snoke. Give us some Snoke too. Now, of course, I do like the idea of Snoke just being a pure Force wielder, but I think that they're going to give him a lightsaber because why not? That's cool. Chances are he's going to have like a black lightsaber too or something like that. So I want to see Snoke. I want to see Luke. I want to see him go at it. And even if Luke doesn't fight Snoke, I want to see Luke in full potential. Because Luke is supposed to be the most powerful Jedi at this point. Sure, his age kind of pulls back on his physicality, but overall, he's supposed to be the strongest Jedi ever. So please, show me how strong he has become. Prove to me that he is the strongest Jedi ever. Now, I know he's going to be training Rey in both the Force and lightsaber skills, but I actually want to see him go against an enemy with a lightsaber. And although it'd be cool to see Luke and Kylo go toe-to-toe, I do think that Luke would probably wipe the floor with him. So instead of Kylo, send Snoke at him. And when it comes down to it, both Snoke and Luke, they should be like showing their most powerful Force abilities. And in the end, Luke would actually lose. Imagine that. Now, of course, both Rey and Luke would make it out alive, but I do think Rey's gonna lose her arm, as tradition goes for the Skywalkers in the second film of the trilogies. Hint, hint, wink, wink. And the movie's gonna end with Luke being like, okay, I really underestimated this guy. This guy is really big. He is a true threat. Rey, I have to train you to be the very best. You have to be stronger than this. Only together can we do this. Only together can we take down Snoke.
But will Luke and Rey be able to take down Snoke? Find out on the next episode of Dragon Ball Z.
And at number 1...
Okay, so I covered a lot of good parts there. Honestly, I think I wrote a better episode 8 than the creators. That might just be me. I could be completely wrong if you don't agree with me. But I personally think that we should have saw Luke versus Snoke fight. You know, they don't have to use lightsabers, but at least let them see the Force. We should have saw a full potential Luke. We did not get a full potential Luke. And it's sad, you know, because we could have gotten it, but now we can't because of the ending and Luke's dead now. Spoiler alert, by the way. And it's just sad. The thing is, like, I don't hate The Last Jedi like a lot of people do. I'm pretty just indifferent to it because there's a lot of opportunities that they could have went with, but they decided not to. And I'm not a huge fan of that part. Would it be cool to see Snoke use a lightsaber? Yeah. But I definitely think we should have saw more Snoke with the Force. We should have definitely saw more Luke. I think my first statement of that one was pretty much like, I think I was pretty much like, we should see Luke at full potential. We didn't even see him like at half potential. You could say like, the very last fight between him and Kylo would be him doing his full potential because he's using the Force to go across the galaxy, which is powerful, but he should have actually been on Crate. You know, we should have actually saw him. If you guys all saw the Haishi video on that one, the Haishi video where they did like a how it should have ended. Like, that's how it should have ended, honestly. I don't know. Maybe that's just me, but that's how I feel. Okay, on to our next one. Also, Rey didn't lose her arm. No one actually lost their arm except for Snoke, unless Snoke is secretly the Skywalker. I don't know. I guess we'll see. Well, I guess we won't really see because he's dead, but maybe we'll find out he's actually related to Skywalker somehow. Ooh. All right, next one.
Less callbacks, please. Probably the biggest complaint about Star Wars Episode 7 is that it's too much like Star Wars Episode 4. And at first, when I heard that, I was like, I don't know about that, guys. Then I rewatched the film, and I'm like, oh my lord. It is literally like J.J. Abrams took the script of A New Hope, and then he kind of fanfictionized it, you know what I mean? Like, he just kind of changed a few things. That's what I think of it personally, now that someone pointed that out. Honestly, Episode 7 is just a fanfiction of Episode 4, kind of. That doesn't mean the movie's bad. I actually really enjoy Episode 7, but way too many homages to the original. And I understand why Disney's trying to do this. Overall, the original films are just better films than the prequels. I might prefer Episode 3 the most out of all of them, but that's because that's my favorite film from my childhood, and to me it is the best film. But I mean, when it comes to quality, I realize it's not that great. So Disney's trying to step it back to that time, before George Lucas decided to change everything up. Which I guess there's nothing wrong with that, and although I'd prefer more prequel love, when it comes down to it, Disney sees more profit in the originals, so that's what they're going more towards. Now, like I mentioned earlier, there's no problem with having parallels. Star Wars has always had parallels between the films forever. Think about it, the Death Star in Episode 4 could be compared to the Trade Federation ship in Episode 1. Luke Skywalker losing his hand in Episode 5 could be compared to Anakin Skywalker losing his arm in Episode 2, which are both the second film of their respective trilogy. And if Rey is Luke's daughter, and Episode 8 is the second film in its own respective trilogy, you could draw parallels that chances are Rey's gonna lose her arm. Which, that type of stuff is cool, I don't mind that. It gives the Star Wars franchise more of a fantasy element, and I like that. Just for an example, there's a droid, he has some important information, he has to find his master, can't find his master, goes to a desert planet, then ends up finding a reluctant hero. The reluctant hero then teams up with a ragtag group of people. They come across a rebel alliance and they go up against an imperial threat. This imperial threat has a massive space station that can blow up planets. There's kind of a boring lightsaber fight, and then the massive weapon goes boom. Now, before you say anything, which movie did I just describe out of all the Star Wars movies? In your mind, you're thinking, well, you definitely described Star Wars Episode 4, but you definitely described Star Wars Episode 7 too. So, which Star Wars movie am I talking about? And that's...
Can I just add, I just threw some major shade. I don't remember saying that. Whoa. Jeez. That was some crazy shade. Alright, let's continue.
An example of too many callbacks. That's a reboot. Which would be fine if Star Wars Episode 7 is supposed to be its own universe, but it's supposed to be a continuation of Star Wars Episode 6, or what happens after it. Do you know what I mean? That's not paying homage. That's not running parallels. That is literally copying and pasting a plot. Now, you could argue there are plenty of differences, which is true, there are a lot of differences, but a lot of the similarities are way too similar. But of course, that's just my opinion. What is your opinion? Let me know in the comments below. What top 5 things you guys want to see in Star Wars Episode 8? Please remember to like and subscribe if you guys enjoy my videos, and until next time guys, I'll see you tomorrow. Peace.
Okay, yeah, for that last one, I would say The Last Jedi succeeded in this one. It succeeded in the fact that it was its own film. It was completely different from all the rest of the Star Wars movies. But was it a little too different now? Do you know, you almost feel like in The Force Awakens, Disney heard everyone saying, oh, it's too similar to A New Hope. So they're like, oh, let's just do something completely different, but then kind of forgot to make it similar. And it's weird. It's a real, there's a real middle ground when it comes to that. You know, you can make things similar, but still different, or you can make things completely different and off the rail, or you can make things way too similar. And I feel like instead of like with The Force Awakens, they were way too similar. Then for The Last Jedi, they went way different. And now I think, hopefully, fingers crossed, Episode 9 is going to bring it back to kind of like a poetry type of thing, like George Lucas said himself. So, yeah. So there you go, guys. Those were my predictions and the things that I wanted to see in Episode 8, a whole year and a half before the actual Last Jedi came out. So I wanted to do this video for a while, but I forgot to. But now I remembered, so here it is. I guess that's it, guys. For more Star Wars content, please remember to like, subscribe, and turn notifications. That's it. I'll catch you guys later. Peace.